AITA for canceling my wedding after my fiancée let her ex give a toast? My name is Alvin. I'm 33, and until 3 nights before my wedding, I thought I was building a life with a woman named Marissa. I work as an operations manager for a regional plumbing supply company, which is not glamorous, but it pays well because I'm good at fixing messes before they turn into disasters. I live in a 3-bedroom house I bought before I met Marissa, the kind of place with a stubborn garage door, a lawn I mow too late on Sundays, and a kitchen I had just spent $9,000 remodeling because she said she wanted our first married year to feel fresh. That was the problem. I was treating everything like ours. She was treating everything like mine until she could redirect it somewhere else. Marissa and I had been together for 4 years and engaged for 11 months. She was 31, funny when she wanted to be, pretty in a way that made strangers helpful, and very good at making things sound reasonable even when they weren't. When we first met, she was working at a salon doing hair and makeup. Later, she quit to build her own freelance bridal makeup business, which I supported because I knew starting over was hard. At first, I admired her for it. She had ring lights in the guest room, makeup cases stacked by the closet, and a little calendar where she wrote trial appointments in pink marker. Some months she did well. Some months, she barely covered gas and supplies. I never held that over her head. I made more money, and I believe partnership meant carrying more when you could. So when wedding costs started piling up, I paid. The venue was a converted barn with string lights, long wooden tables, a patio for cocktail hour, and a field out back where Marissa wanted sunset pictures. I paid the deposit. Then the catering deposit for barbecue, cornbread, mac and cheese, and late-night sliders. Then the photographer. Then the DJ. Then the shuttle company for guests staying at the hotel block. Then the honeymoon reservation at a beach resort Marissa kept calling our first real luxury trip. Every time I hesitated, she had a way of touching my arm and saying, "I know it's a lot, babe, but we're only doing this once." I believed her. I also paid for repairs on the house because Marissa said it mattered that we start married life in a place that felt like both of us. The guest room became her studio. The kitchen got new counters, new cabinet hardware, and a backsplash she picked after changing her mind 3 times. I painted the hallway a warm gray because she said my old beige walls looked like a dentist office from 2008. I even replaced the dishwasher after she told her mother mine sounded like it was grinding rocks. Her mother, Janice, had a habit of inspecting things with a polite little smile that never reached her eyes. Her father, Victor, was quieter, but he cared about appearances. He had already posted 3 times about gaining a son and how proud he was to host relatives for the wedding weekend. They were not paying for much, but they had plenty of opinions. My older brother Grant saw it before I did. "You sure you're not overextending yourself?" he asked one Saturday while helping me haul old cabinet doors to the garage. "I'm fine," I said. He looked around at the half-finished kitchen, the unopened boxes, the receipt taped to the fridge, and Marissa's coffee cup abandoned on the counter. "I didn't ask if you could afford it. I asked if you're sure." I laughed it off. "It's a wedding. Everybody spends too much." Grant didn't laugh. "Not everybody spends too much alone." I should have listened. 2 weeks before the wedding, Marissa started acting different. Not dramatic enough that I could point to one big thing. Just small things. She turned her phone face down whenever I walked into the room. She took calls in the laundry room with the dryer running. She started having last-minute errands with Elise, her best friend and maid of honor, at weird times. She would leave in leggings and a hoodie, saying she had to pick up ribbon or check on bridesmaid jewelry, and come home smelling faintly like cologne that was not mine. One night, around 11:30, her phone buzzed 3 times on the nightstand. She grabbed it so fast she knocked over her water bottle. I looked over. "Everything okay?" "Yeah," she said, already typing. "Just Elise being dramatic about shoes." At almost midnight, she locked the phone and turned toward me with that patient, disappointed face people use when they want you to feel guilty for noticing something. "Alvin, please don't start." "I'm not starting anything." I asked a question. "You've been weird lately." That was new. "I've been weird. You keep watching me. I live here." She sat up and crossed her arms. "I'm allowed to have privacy. Getting married doesn't mean you get to monitor me." I stared at her for a second because I could feel the argument forming like a storm cloud. The old version of me would have tried to explain myself for 20 minutes. I would have said I trusted her. I was just confused. I wasn't trying to control anything. But something in her tone told me she had already prepared that word. Controlling. So I didn't chase it. I just said, privacy is not the same thing as secrecy. She rolled her eyes, lay back down, and faced the wall. Good night, Alvin. After that, I paid attention. I didn't go through her phone then. I didn't follow her. I didn't accuse her in front of anyone. I just started looking at things I already had access to because I was the one paying for them. Vendor emails. Shared calendar invites. Receipts. The wedding credit card I had added her to for expenses. That was when the first lie showed up. Marissa told me she had been at the florist for nearly 4 hours because they were finalizing arrangements. She came home tired and irritated, carrying a coffee she said Elise bought her. The next morning, Dana, our wedding planner, emailed the updated floral notes and mentioned, glad we wrapped the florist meeting by 2:10 yesterday. Marissa had gotten home after 5 o'clock. I sat at my desk at work, reading that email between purchase orders, and felt something uncomfortable settle in my stomach. Not panic, not rage, just a quiet, heavy feeling. I didn't want to catch her. I wanted to be wrong. So I asked casually that evening while she stood at the kitchen island eating takeout noodles from the container. Florist meeting went until 5 o'clock. She didn't even blink. Pretty much. What? Dana said it wrapped around 2 o'clock. Her chopsticks paused for half a second. Then she shrugged. Yeah, the actual meeting. Elise and I stayed nearby after to talk through stuff. What stuff? Wedding stuff, Alvin. Do you want a written report? There it was again. The little turn. The way she could make a normal question sound ugly. I let it go. A few days later, we were at Marissa's parents' house for a casual dinner. Janice made baked chicken with too much rosemary. Victor grilled asparagus outside, and Elise stopped by to drop off table numbers she had been painting. Everybody was talking about the wedding like it was a train that could not be stopped. Marissa mentioned, that hotel bar was so overpriced. I still can't believe they charged $18 for a cocktail. I looked up. Hotel bar. She gave me a quick look. Too quick. Elise, who was scrolling through pictures on her phone, said, what hotel bar? Marissa's smile tightened. The one from last Thursday, when we had drinks. Elise's face did something strange. Her eyebrows pulled together and then smoothed out. Oh, right. Yeah, but it was too late. I had already seen the confusion. Later, when Elise was by the front door putting on her sandals, I said, how was your kid's soccer game last Thursday? She brightened automatically. Cold. They won, though. I swear those parents get louder every. Then she stopped. I didn't say anything. She looked past me toward the kitchen where Marissa was laughing too loudly at something Janice said. Wait, Elise said softly. She said she was with me? I held her stare for 1 second. Elise swallowed. I probably mixed up the nights. No, I said. You didn't. She stepped outside and left without saying goodbye to Marissa. That night, Marissa was sweet. Too sweet. She curled up next to me on the couch and put her head on my shoulder while we watched a renovation show she liked. She talked about honeymoon outfits and whether we should do a joint checking account right after the wedding or wait until after we got back. Probably after, I said. She lifted her head. Why? No reason. Just a lot going on. She studied me. You're acting distant. I'm tired. You're always tired lately. I wanted to say, because I'm doing math on my own life and the numbers don't add up. Instead, I said, wedding stress. She kissed my cheek. Almost over. Those words stayed with me. Almost over. At the time, I thought she meant the stress. Now I think she meant something else. Damon came back into the picture slowly enough that I almost missed it. Damon was Marissa's ex from before me. I knew the basics. They had dated on and off in their 20s. He had a food truck business that failed, a truck that got repossessed, and a reputation for big plans that became other people's problems. Marissa had once described him as a chapter that needed to stay closed. I believe that too. Then I noticed him liking her posts again. Not every post, just enough. A picture of her wedding makeup trial. Proud of you, Riss. A photo of the barn venue. Looks familiar. A selfie with Elise. A flame emoji, then deleted. I searched his name in old group chats and realized Janice had invited him to our engagement barbecue months earlier under the label family friend. He hadn't come, or at least I hadn't seen him, so I had never thought about it again. When I asked Marissa directly whether Damon would be at any wedding events, she laughed like I had suggested inviting a raccoon. Why would he be, she said. That would be weird. Your mom invited him to the barbecue. My mom invites everybody to everything. He's been commenting on your posts. She smiled, but her eyes hardened. So now I'm responsible for who comments online? I'm asking if you've been talking to him. Her voice went cold. I'm not doing this. I'm not going into our wedding week with you acting jealous over someone from years ago. I didn't say jealous. You didn't have to. Then she walked out of the kitchen, and the conversation ended because she decided it ended. 3 days before the wedding, I found the truth by accident. That morning, Dana had emailed a final PDF with the seating chart, rehearsal timeline, vendor arrival windows, and payment notes. I was at the kitchen island with my laptop open, drinking coffee that had gone lukewarm. Marissa's old tablet was charging beside the fruit bowl because she used it sometimes for makeup tutorials and Pinterest boards. My laptop froze while trying to open the attachment, so I tapped the tablet screen. I was not trying to find heartbreak. I was trying to find a seating chart. The tablet unlocked because Marissa had never changed the code. A message preview dropped from the top of the screen. Damon, after the wedding money clears, I can breathe again. I stared at that sentence so long the screen dimmed. Then another message appeared. Marissa, don't say it like that. I'm trying to fix things without blowing up my life. My ears started ringing, not loudly, just enough to make the kitchen feel far away. The refrigerator hummed. A dog barked somewhere outside. My coffee sat untouched by my elbow. I opened the thread. Months. There were months of messages. Not constant every day, but enough. Enough to show that Damon had never really been gone. Enough to show that bridesmaid errands sometimes meant Marissa sitting across from him at a diner near his apartment. Enough to show that the hotel bar charge had not been Elise. It had been Damon. Enough to show that when Marissa was lying beside me in bed typing at midnight, she was not calming down a maid of honor. She was calming down a man who thought my wedding was his financial opportunity. The emotional part was bad. Damon would write things like, "You know nobody gets you like I do." Marissa would write, "Don't start." Then 10 minutes later, "I miss when things were simple." He wrote, "You mean when you weren't pretending with Mr. Stable?" She wrote, "Don't call him that." He wrote, "Am I wrong?" She did not answer no. I scrolled with my thumb moving slower and slower, reading pieces of my own life through someone else's disrespect. Then I found the money. Damon, I'm serious, Riss. If I don't get this loan down, they're going to garnish me. Marissa, I know. Damon, you said there'd be cash gifts. Marissa, there should be. Checks too. His relatives are generous. Damon, how much? Marissa, I don't know. Enough to help, maybe. And there's still some left in the wedding fund if he doesn't notice. Damon, he won't miss it. Marissa, once we combine accounts, it'll be easier. Damon, man's paying for the party and the rescue. I almost respect it. A person can feel two things at once. I learned that in that kitchen. I felt hurt so deep it made me physically still. And right under it, I felt something else take shape. Not wild anger. Not the kind that makes you throw a chair or punch a wall. Something colder. Clarity. I took screenshots. Every important message. Every mention of wedding gifts. Every joke about me paying. Every meetup she had lied about. I forwarded them to my email, then to a folder in my cloud storage. I photographed receipts from the wedding card. I downloaded vendor contracts. I checked whose name was on what. Mine. Venue mine. Caterer mine. Photographer mine. DJ mine. Shuttle company mine. Honeymoon package mine. Most balances were not fully paid yet. Some deposits were gone either way, but plenty could still be stopped. At one point, I had to sit down on the bottom stair because my hands were shaking. Not from fear. From the effort of not calling her right then and giving her a chance to rehearse a better lie. Grant called around noon to ask if I needed help picking up suits. I answered and said, "Can you come over tonight?" He went quiet. What happened? I'll show you. He did not ask another question. I'll be there. Then I called Dana. Dana was one of those people who could make chaos sound like a spreadsheet. She had a calm voice, sharp emails, and a way of saying per our agreement that could make grown adults behave. She answered on the second ring. "Hey, groom. Please tell me you found the seating chart." "I found more than that." Silence. I said, "I need to know what happens if the wedding is canceled." Dana did not gasp. She did not pry. She just shifted into business mode. "Alvin, are you asking hypothetically, or are you canceling your wedding?" I looked at the tablet on the counter. A new message from Marissa had popped up asking if I could pick up dry cleaning. I'm asking what happens if I stop funding a lie. Dana exhaled once. Okay, then we go contract by contract. For the next 20 minutes, she walked me through it. The venue deposit was gone, but the final payment had not been charged. Catering could be reduced or canceled with a fee if done immediately. DJ and photographer had cancellation terms. Shuttle company could still be stopped. The honeymoon package had a penalty, but not a total loss. Hotel blocks could be released with some rooms still covered individually by guests. Dana was careful, professional, and very clear. Who has authority to cancel? I asked. You signed the majority of the contracts, she said. You paid them. I can send notices, but I'll need written confirmation from you. Not yet, I said. Alvin. I know. There are less than 72 hours. I know, I repeated. I need you at the rehearsal dinner tomorrow. I was already planning to be there for final coordination. Good. Another pause. Softer this time, she said. Do you need anything else? Yes. If I call you on speaker, I need you to confirm what can be canceled and where confirmations will go. Understood. When Grant came over that night, I showed him the messages. He read them standing at my kitchen island, jaw locked, one hand flat on the new counter I had paid for because Marissa wanted the house to feel fresh. He got to the line about me funding the party and the rescue, then put the phone down like it had burned him. I knew something was off, he said. Why didn't you say more? I did. You weren't ready to hear it. That was fair. I leaned against the sink and laughed once, but there was no humor in it. They were going to use my wedding to pay her ex's debt. Grant looked toward the hallway, where Marissa's framed engagement photo leaned against the wall waiting to be hung. What are you going to do? I'm not marrying her. Good. I'm canceling it at the rehearsal dinner. Grant watched me carefully. In front of everybody. She brought everybody into it. Her friends covered. Her mother invited him around. Her father knows something is wrong and wants the pictures anyway. I'm not letting them spend the next month saying I got cold feet. Grant nodded slowly. Then I'll be there. The next day, Marissa acted normal. That was the part that almost broke me. She came downstairs in one of my old t-shirts, kissed my cheek, and asked if I could pick up garment bags before the rehearsal. She complained about a chipped nail. She sent 3 voice messages to Dana asking whether the DJ had the updated first dance version. She stood in the remodeled kitchen and practiced saying my husband in a playful voice while I ate toast and wondered how long she had been able to lie without looking away. Once, she caught me staring. What? She asked. Nothing. You're making that face again. What face? The one where you act like you're above everyone. I almost smiled. That's what you think this is? She sighed. Can we please not do this before the wedding weekend? I said sure. That evening, after the venue walkthrough, we all went to the rehearsal dinner in a private room at a mid-range restaurant with framed sports jerseys near the bar and fake candles on the tables. Nothing fancy, but warm enough. There were 2 long tables for family and bridal party, a smaller table with gifts and envelopes, and a little corner where Dana had set down her binder and laptop bag. My side was mostly Grant, my parents, a couple of cousins, and my friend Troy who had flown in that morning. Marissa's side filled the room with perfume, loud laughter, and women taking pictures of drinks before anyone had eaten. Janice floated around kissing cheeks. Victor shook hands too firmly. Elise avoided looking at me. Then Damon walked in. Navy blazer. No tie. White shirt open at the collar. Smile like he had been invited to a party thrown in his honor. He came in with 2 of Marissa's bridesmaids, laughing at something one of them said. Marissa saw him and froze for half a second. Then she smiled. Not the polite smile you give a family acquaintance. A soft one. He hugged her too long. Not a dramatic movie hug. Nothing you could point to and say, there, that proves it. Just long enough that Grant's shoulder brushed mine and he muttered, there he is. I stayed still. Marissa came over quickly, cheeks pink. Don't make it weird. I looked at Damon, then at her. I didn't invite him. He's basically family, she said. You told me it would be weird for him to come. She lowered her voice. My mom invited him last minute. Please don't embarrass me. That was almost funny. Wouldn't dream of it, I said. Dinner started with salads nobody cared about and baskets of rolls that disappeared fast. People made small talk. Marissa's aunt asked me about work. My dad asked Victor about fishing. Dana checked her phone quietly in the corner. Every few minutes, I felt someone from the bridal party glance at me and then look away. Damon sat near the middle of Marissa's side like he belonged there. He leaned back in his chair, told stories too loudly, and called her Riss, like he was making sure I heard it. At one point, one of the bridesmaids said, "Old habits die hard, right?" The bride's side laughed. Marissa smiled down at her plate. Elise watched my face instead of Damon's. That was when I understood this was not just an affair hiding in the dark. This was a room full of people testing how much disrespect I would swallow for the sake of keeping the wedding pretty. I ate half my chicken and waited. Janice stood first and gave a little speech about love and family and how marriage was not about perfection, but about patience. Her eyes flicked to me when she said patience. Victor gave a shorter toast, thanking everyone for traveling and saying tomorrow would be a proud day. My mother squeezed my father's hand. She knew something was wrong. Mothers know. Then Damon stood. A few people made playful sounds from Marissa's side, like this was expected, like he had a role. He lifted his glass. I know I'm not on the official program. A couple of bridesmaids laughed. Damon smiled wider. But I've known Marissa a long time, longer than some people in this room. I looked at Marissa. She was staring at the tablecloth. He continued, "And what can I say? Some people always come back to where they belong." Silence from my side. Laughter from hers. Not everyone, but enough. Marissa blushed. She did not stand up. She did not say, "That's inappropriate." She did not say, "Damon, stop." She just pressed her lips together and looked down like a woman enjoying being fought over. Something in me settled. I stood up. The room quieted in layers. First my table, then the bridesmaids, then Damon, still holding his glass. Dana looked up from the corner. I picked up my water, not champagne, because I had stopped drinking the second Damon walked in. "I appreciate everyone coming tonight," I said. My voice sounded calmer than I felt. It saves me from having to explain this twice. Marissa's head snapped up. "Alvin." I didn't look at her. "I'm glad this happened before tomorrow," I continued, "because I was about to make the most expensive mistake of my life in front of everyone I care about." Janice stood halfway. "Alvin, whatever happened, this is not the place." I looked at Damon. "You all made it the place." Damon gave a little laugh. "Relax, man. It was just a toast." "Was it?" Marissa pushed back her chair. "You're embarrassing yourself." "No," I said. "For the first time in weeks, I'm not." Grant stood too, not beside me like he was trying to fight anyone, just enough that I knew he was there. I took out my phone and tapped Dana's contact. She answered from the corner instead of across the room, which would have been funny any other night. "Dana," I said, putting her on speaker, "please confirm you're hearing me clearly." Her voice came through steady. "I hear you. I'm canceling the wedding. Effective now. Please cancel the venue, catering, photographer, DJ, shuttle company, and all remaining vendor balances under my name. Send confirmations to my email only." The room erupted. Marissa said, "What are you doing?" Janice said, "Alvin, stop this right now." Someone knocked over a fork. One of my cousins whispered, "Holy crap." Damon's smile disappeared. Dana's voice cut through the noise. "Alvin, I'll begin written cancellation notices immediately after this call. Some deposits are non-refundable. I'll send a breakdown to your email." "Understood," I said. "Cancel the honeymoon package too." Marissa lunged toward me. Not violently, but panicked, reaching for my phone. Grant stepped between us without touching her. She yelled, "You can't just cancel my wedding." I finally looked at her. "Watch me." Her face crumpled in a way that might have moved me if I had not already read her messages. "How could you do this to me in front of my family?" I kept my voice low. "You brought him in front of mine." Damon raised both hands. "I didn't ask for all this drama." I turned to him. "You wanted her back? Good. Now you can pay for her too." His face went red. "Man, you don't know what you're talking about." "That's interesting," I said, "because your texts were pretty clear." Marissa went still. Elise whispered, "Oh no." I heard it. So did half the room. Victor stood then, slow and confused. "What text?" Marissa shook her head. "Alvin is twisting things because he's embarrassed." I unlocked my phone. "No, I'm reading." I did not read everything. I did not need to. I was not there to perform my pain for a room full of people. I read just enough. "Damon, after the wedding money clears, I can breathe again." "Marissa, don't say it like that. I'm trying to fix things without blowing up my life." "Damon, he won't miss it." "Marissa, once we combine accounts, it'll be easier." A hush fell over the room, so hard, even the restaurant noise outside sounded far away. Marissa whispered, "Those messages don't mean what you think they mean." I looked at her. "This is the part where you explain why my wedding money was in a conversation about his debt." She opened her mouth, closed it. Damon muttered, "That was private." I almost laughed. "You don't get to call it private after you toasted in front of my family." Victor turned toward Damon. His face had changed. Up until that moment, he had looked embarrassed. Now he looked angry. "Damon," he said, "answer me. Did you expect my daughter to hand you money after this wedding?" Damon looked around like he was searching for an exit that did not involve walking past every person in the room. "No, it wasn't like that." I read one more line. "Damon, man's funding the clean exit." I almost respected. My mother covered her mouth. My father stared at Marissa like he had never seen her before. One of the bridesmaids whispered something, and Elise snapped, "Stop talking." Janice's face had gone pale under her makeup. She turned to Marissa. "Tell me that's not real." Marissa started crying then, but it was not the kind of crying that comes from remorse. It was the kind that comes from losing control of the room. "I was trying to help him," she said. "He was drowning. I didn't know how to tell you." "You didn't tell me because you knew I'd say no. You never liked him." "I barely knew him," I said. "But he knew enough about me to call me Mr. Stable." Damon looked at Marissa. "You told him that?" She wiped her face. "You said it first." That was when the room started turning on itself. Victor stepped toward Damon. "You came here tonight knowing this." Damon backed up. "I came because Janice invited me." Janice snapped. "I invited you because Marissa said you two were fine and everyone was mature." Grant muttered, "Mature is one word." Elise stood, face tight. Marissa was confused. "That doesn't make her evil." I looked at her. "Did you know she was meeting him when she said she was with you?" Elise's mouth opened. "Careful," I said, "because I have dates." She looked at Marissa, then down at her hands. I didn't know she was going to use the money for him. That sentence did more damage than anything I could have said. Marissa stared at her. "Elise." "What?" Elise said, voice cracking. "You told me it was closure. You told me you needed to make sure he was okay, so he'd leave you alone." Damon scoffed. "Wow." Victor pointed at him. "You shut up." A cousin on Marissa's side had been filming part of the toast on her phone. She lowered it slowly, eyes wide. Later, that mattered, because Marissa tried to claim I had invented Damon's line. She forgot half the room had heard him say it, and at least one person had recorded it. Janice tried one more time. "Alvin," she said, using the voice she normally used to smooth over bad service at restaurants. "People flew in for this wedding. Relatives booked rooms. Your families are here. Whatever Marissa did, you don't have to destroy everything tonight. Be the bigger person." I looked at her for a long second. "Bigger than what, Janice? Bigger than being used? Bigger than letting your daughter's ex toast her at my rehearsal dinner? Bigger than paying for a wedding so she could hand the gift money to him?" Her lips pressed together. I said, "No, I'm done being useful and calling it love." Marissa stepped toward me, crying harder. "Alvin, please. We can talk at home." "No. Please. Don't do this. It's already done." "You're angry." "I'm clear." Her hand moved to her engagement ring, like she had suddenly remembered it was there. I noticed. "Take off the ring, Marissa." The room went quiet again. She pulled her hand against her chest. "Are you serious?" "Yes." "You gave it to me." "I gave it to the woman I was going to marry. That wedding is canceled. If you refuse, my attorney can handle it Monday. Don't make me add that to the list." I did not move toward her. I did not touch her hand. I did not raise my voice. She looked at her mother, but Janice was looking away. She looked at Victor, but he was glaring at Damon. Finally, with shaking fingers, she pulled the ring off and placed it on the table. It made a tiny sound against the wood. That sound felt louder than Damon's toast. Grant leaned close to me. "Keys. Wallet. Phone. We're leaving." I nodded. Marissa said my name as I picked up the ring and put it in my pocket. "Alvin." I stopped, but I did not turn fully back. She whispered, "You're really just going to walk out?" I looked at the room. The fake candles. The half-eaten dinners. The stunned relatives. Damon standing near the wall now, smaller than he had looked when he walked in. Elise crying quietly into a napkin. Janice gripping a chair like good manners could hold her upright. Then I looked at Marissa. "No," I said. "I'm walking out before you cost me anything else." Grant walked me to the parking lot. The night air felt sharp after the warm restaurant. Behind us, voices rose and fell through the closed door. My phone buzzed nonstop before I even reached the car. Marissa calling. Janice calling. Unknown numbers. Texts from cousins. Texts from vendors. A message from Dana. Starting cancellation emails now. I'm sorry. Grant stood beside my truck while I stared at the screen. You good? He asked. No, I said. But I'm done. He nodded. You can feel it tomorrow. Tonight we move. We went straight to my house. Grant slept on my couch. I barely slept at all. I sat at the kitchen island until 2 o'clock in the morning, forwarding emails, downloading confirmations, freezing the wedding credit card, changing passwords, and making a list for the attorney I called as soon as their office opened. The next morning, Grant and I changed the locks. That might sound harsh to some people, but it was my house. Marissa had stayed there often, and some of her things were there, but she had not legally moved in as my wife. Her name was not on the deed. She had no lease. She had a key because I trusted her, and I no longer did. I packed her belongings carefully. Clothes, makeup cases, shoes, a half-used bottle of perfume, bridal magazines, the framed engagement photo. I did not destroy anything. I did not throw her stuff on the lawn. I put everything in boxes and had Grant sit with me while I emailed her that she could arrange pickup through him or through my attorney. She called 42 times that day. I did not answer. Her texts started angry. You humiliated me. You had no right. My grandmother is crying. People are asking questions because of you. Then they became soft. I made a mistake. I was scared. I didn't know how to tell you. I love you. Please don't let Damon ruin us. That last one almost made me throw my phone. Damon did not ruin us. Damon was a test Marissa failed over and over again while calling me controlling for noticing the smoke. Dana sent cancellation confirmations through the day. Some hurt. The venue deposit was gone. Part of the catering fee was gone. The photographer kept a retainer. The honeymoon cancellation penalty made me sit back and rub my face for a full minute. But every cancellation also felt like removing a hook from my skin. The cancellation fees hurt. Divorce would have hurt worse. By Saturday afternoon, the day we were supposed to get married, the narrative war had started. Janice told relatives I had blindsided Marissa because of insecurity. One of Marissa's cousins texted me a paragraph about how every couple has issues before a wedding and a real man does not abandon a woman at the altar. I replied with 4 screenshots and nothing else. That cousin never texted again. Victor called me once. I answered because, despite everything, he had not been the loudest liar in the room. He sounded tired. Alvin. Victor. I need to ask you something directly. Go ahead. Was there more? I looked at the boxes of Marissa's belongings lined up by the front door. Yes. He exhaled. Money. Yes. How much? I don't think she had a final number. Damon's debt seemed to be somewhere in the low 5 figures. A personal loan, missed payments, something tied to the food truck mess. The plan was to use wedding gifts and leftover funds after she and I combined accounts. Victor was quiet for a long time. I suspected she was talking to him, he said finally. I didn't know this. I believed him. Not because he was innocent exactly, but because his anger at Damon had looked real. You still wanted the wedding to happen, I said. Yes, he admitted. That was wrong. I appreciated that he said it plainly. He said, Janice is trying to manage what people think. I'm not managing anything. I know. If people stop lying, I stop sending screenshots. Another pause. That's fair, he said. Marissa picked up her things 2 days later through Grant. She did not come to the door. The lease drove her. I watched from the upstairs window like a coward for about 10 seconds, then stepped away because I did not owe myself another wound. Grant handled it. He said Marissa cried in the driveway and asked if I was inside. What did you say? I asked. I said yes. And I said that didn't mean she gets access. That was Grant. Minimal and correct. The ring went to my attorney. So did the messages, receipts, contract copies, and a timeline of charges on the wedding card. I was told not to argue through text, not to threaten, not to negotiate while emotional. That suited me fine. I had already spent enough time being reasonable with someone who translated patience into permission. From what I heard later, Victor cornered him after I left the rehearsal dinner and asked him in front of 3 relatives whether he had expected Marissa to hand over wedding money. Damon said he never asked directly, which told everyone enough. Marissa tried to save the victim story for about a week. She told people I had been jealous and controlling. Then the video of Damon's toast made its way through the family. She said the texts were taken out of context. Then Elise, trying to protect herself, admitted Marissa had used her as a cover more than once. She said I canceled everything to punish her. Then Dana confirmed, very professionally, that the contracts were under my name and I had the legal authority to stop payment on services I was funding. I never posted a rant. I never made a public statement. I didn't need revenge posts. I had receipts. The strangest part was the house. After all the noise, the house was quiet in a way that felt almost rude. The new kitchen looked good. The counters Marissa picked reflected morning light. The guest room still had one wall painted the color she chose for her makeup studio. The dishwasher ran silently, just like she wanted. For a while, every improvement felt like evidence that I had been stupid. Then one Sunday, I mowed the lawn too late like always, came inside sweaty and annoyed, and made a sandwich in that kitchen. I looked around and realized the house was not ruined because she had touched it. It was still mine. The counters were mine. The walls were mine. The quiet was mine. That helped. I lost money. I won't pretend I didn't. I lost deposits, time, pride, sleep, and the future I thought I was walking into. I had to call relatives and say there would be no wedding. I had to return gifts. I had to sit across from an attorney and explain that my fiancée had planned to use our wedding money to help her ex pay down debt. There is no way to say that sentence and feel dignified. But there are worse humiliations than telling the truth. One of them is marrying someone who sees your generosity as a loophole. A month later, Marissa sent one final email. Not a text. An email, because my attorney had made it clear that direct personal messages needed to stop. It was long. She said she was sorry. She said Damon had manipulated her. She said she panicked because she still felt responsible for him. She said she loved the stability I gave her, but sometimes felt like she did not deserve it. She said she never meant to actually steal from me, only to borrow from our future to fix a problem from her past. That phrase stuck with me. Borrow from our future. I replied with 2 sentences. There is no our future. Please direct any further communication through counsel. Then I closed the laptop and went outside to fix the garage door that had been sticking for months. Grant came by that evening with burgers and a 6-pack. We sat on the back steps, eating off paper plates while mosquitoes attacked our ankles. He looked at me and said, "You miss her." I thought about lying, but there was no point. Sometimes, I said, not the real her. The version I thought I was marrying. Grant nodded. That version was expensive. I laughed for real then. First time in weeks. Yeah, I said. She was. I did not become bitter. I still believe in love. I still believe in showing up for someone, paying your share or more when life requires it, building a home, making plans, trusting another person with the soft parts of your life. But I also believe in contracts now. Passwords. Separate accounts until trust has earned more. Questions that do not get apologized for just because someone calls them insecurity. I believe that when a person hides behind the word privacy to protect a lie, you should pay attention. I believe that generosity without boundaries looks a lot like permission to the wrong person. Marissa lost the wedding, the house, the honeymoon, and the version of the story where she was just a confused bride with a jealous fiancé. Damon lost interest the second the money disappeared. Elise lost the moral high ground she thought she had as the best friend, helping with closure. Janice lost control of the family narrative. Victor, to his credit, stopped trying to defend what could not be defended. And me? I lost a wedding. I kept my name off a marriage certificate that would have cost me a lot more. That is not the kind of victory people cheer for. There was no applause when I walked out of that rehearsal dinner. There was no clean, happy ending waiting in the parking lot. Just my brother, my truck, my phone buzzing like a hornet nest, and the sick feeling of knowing the person I loved had treated my future like a funding source. But I would make the same choice again. Because the moment Damon raised that glass and Marissa looked down instead of shutting him up, I finally understood what everyone in that room expected from me. Silence. Payment. Compliance. I gave them none of it. I stood up, canceled the wedding I had paid for, and walked out before my life became one more debt Damon expected me to cover. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.